Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you in this special podcast called Emotionally Yours with Pratik. And with me, I have got a very young guest, young lady, Arnawaz Damania, who's a renowned sports administrator, sports person, and a multifaceted personality presently running an NGO called Connecting, which is for suicide prevention. So, Emotionally Yours with Pratik is a part of Mission 1 Million project from Quantum Foundation, which is about 1 million emotionally literate people by 2035. A very warm welcome to you, Arnavaz.
Thank you, Pratik. Emotionally, thank you.
Aha. Thank you so much for coming over on this podcast. So let me introduce the young lady who was born on 23rd August 1938, has many milestones and many accolades. When I went through her profile, I was amazed about she's not only been a sports person, a sports administrator, awardee, and above all, now an NGO. So can you just tell us and the audience about the kind of life that you have led so far?
Pratik, first, you missed out. And a great-grandmother.
Oh, yeah. A great-grandmother.
Okay?
Sorry about that.
Right. Okay. Your question was?
Can you please let us know in terms of how your life has been so far? What all you have gone? When you look back, how do you look at it overall?
It's been a full life, an absolutely full life, which I've enjoyed each and every minute of my life. And if I had to relive my life again, I would go through all the problems, all the illness, everything. I'd go through it again because I've enjoyed every minute of my life. 86 years of my life I have enjoyed.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is what we called as an emotional enrichment. So being content, being fulfilled, is an emotion that Arnavaz has just exposed, expressed, and lived through. May I ask you, Arnavaz, what really made you to choose a sport, and that too a sport like hockey, which was not very popular during those days, and especially not amongst women?
Yeah. You're very true. You're very true. But you see, though very conservative, we were from a very hand-to-mouth family, and a conservative family. My father, he always loved sports. He himself never got the opportunity to play. But he saw that we were three sisters. And he wanted all of us to play hockey. Don't know why hockey. And fortunately, there was a small team that was there in Pune. And we were very fortunate to join that. But, you know, it was only nationals that one could play those days. We never had any,
International
tournaments. Well, there was nothing like international. So, it was very difficult. And nationals was something which every 4 years they'd have. So you hardly got to meet others.
Oh.
But from school, so it was either, running 200 meters, basketball, volleyball, yes, all the games, because I came home at 8 o'clock every day. So I always enjoyed my life.
That's so nice to hear that, you've played basketball, you've been an athlete, you've played hockey, and during those days when the nationals were once in 4 years and the sports were not really encouraged, your father was somebody who really encouraged it. And this is something parallel to me, by the way. My father and my grandfather were all in for sports.
Wow.
So, I have played Jazanwala Trophy for cricket, under 16 for Maharashtra. And my father was a hockey player. My mother is a national athlete.
Wow.
So that's where sports run in us, and I can draw parallels. Sports teaches you so many things.
Discipline.
Most importantly, discipline.
Important.
And importance of teamwork, importance of interpersonal relationships.
Importance of giving. You give so much.
Right.
That's your emotion. You
That's
give
the
so
emotion.
much.
Right. Being empathetic comes very naturally whenever you are in sports, and
Yeah.
especially a team sports, right? Can you tell us some interesting moments during your sports life in terms where you found really difficult to come out of them, and then later on you realize that those were real good learning experiences for you? Any incident that you may recollect?
As a player,
Yes.
I don't know. I've never had any because I've always been sort of, I can learn more. I can learn more. So if somebody is telling me, or if I go through a difficult this, I just used to accept it. Yeah, okay, they are teaching me. Even if it's a person who was smaller than me, I'd accept whatever anybody taught. Even today, I would say, so many can teach me so many things.
That's the learner's
I
attitude.
never had any, but if you ask me my, the moments which I loved, yeah, I had just come to know my husband to be, met him, and we went to Bombay to play one of our tournaments over there. Matches, not tournaments, just matches. And I played very well. So it came in the papers, Arnawaz Order excels. And the next morning, I had my husband come, boyfriend at that time,
Right.
come with the newspaper to the, I don't know, some little lodge we were in. And he says, this is what had come. And that was one of the most, can you imagine, just new boyfriend bringing that to you? Well, it was beautiful. So I'll never forget it.
Such a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
And the emotion called love
Yeah.
is basically, that enhanced because of the achievement in sports, the sense of achievement, the sense of fulfillment, the sense of love, love for your life, love for your sport. Awesome.
Love for my life.
Love for your life, most importantly. All right. So, when did you decide to move into sports administration? What were the reasons why you thought that, being a sports person is not good enough? You need to move into the administration, and then you became the vice president of Hockey Federation and various other
very
things.
normal, Pratik, very normal. You see, you come to a standard. You've been playing. I played for Bombay also because Bombay was a different state at that time. So I played in the Bombay Nationals also. But you see, you come to a standard, and then I had already met my husband-to-be, and 7 years we were together, and I had to give up sports. Because, after that, of course, before I gave up my sports, I even played for Air India because I was working as an air hostess from Air India. Yeah. There's a lot I have done. So my life has been very good.
Right.
Yeah, and I had to give it up because I had the kids. Kids were this. But I was dying for sports. There was no facility for us to exercise in Pune. There were no health clubs those days, nothing. So I used to go to play badminton at Pune Club in that dingy little court, which you had to wait hours to get into, and you wouldn't get a proper game. So I had to do something. Then I started my own health clubs.
Own health club?
Yes, I have my own health clubs and beauty parlors. Gazelle is mine.
Wow.
Yes. And, that was not enough. So I was president of the Maharashtra Women's Hockey, got into Maharashtra Women's Hockey. So that's the way you keep in touch. And
Right.
every game that my girls played, I was there. I encouraged everyone. I never sort of let somebody else do. I wanted to be there. So as a president, if my team went to Gujarat, I would go to Gujarat with the team. So they didn't feel binwarsi, as I call it, headless. They have somebody there to look after you. So I've always felt that. So that is what, and then you see the International Hockey Federation. I took the team to Moscow Olympics.
Right.
And that's where the International Hockey Federation, saw my capabilities and that I knew hockey so well and I loved hockey. So, and then they encouraged me there. And then after that, you see, I remember Margaret Alba was the Minister of Sports.
Right.
And she sort of said, Mrs. Damania, why don't you become president of the Indian women's hockey? Yeah, I got there. So I was 5 years president of Indian women's hockey. And then, well, after the 5th year, when I had my elections after
Right.
5 years, I just got picked up, squeezed, and thrown out.
How did you feel at that moment? I mean, I'm sure sports administration in India are full of these political aspects.
I felt only sorry for the hockey because by then I had 5 women umpires on the FIH list, international body list, and
Including
today,
yourself.
I was a tournament director by then, so I was not in. But I had 5 of these young girls who were hockey players all on the list. Today, there's not one lady umpire or men's umpire from India on the international body.
Even for women's cricket.
But yeah, I really don't
Women's
understand. I
hockey.
can imagine.
Even for women's hockey.
That's
you're
what
saying.
I'm saying. There's not one woman umpire on the FIH list, in Federation of International Hockey. That's the international body. There's not one umpire.
That's really
I felt
sad.
very sad. But by then, my family were fed up of me. 26 years I did hockey. My family just said, Mommy, no more.
Okay.
And you see, my husband paid for everything. My trips to Delhi. I became the president of the Indian Women's. I was in Delhi every week. I paid for it. We never got anything. I took the team to, Europe and, no, I took them to Singapore, Malaysia and all that, Tokyo. I paid for the
for the travel.
for the trainer, not the coaches. I mean the physical trainer. I paid for him. I paid for everything. We didn't have a psychologist. The men had this and the men had that. They had 5 coaches. They had everything. Women were never allowed, never got, never. Up till now also you'll see, you won't find much.
When you come across such discrimination
You fight.
for men and women, you get a fighting spirit.
You
from
fight.
within.
Yes,
You
I
fight.
fought.
You fought.
Yeah, fought.
But then at that moment, there were a lot of moments of frustration, anger,
No,
rage.
it was just pity. I never felt anger. I never felt anything. I just pitied. What will happen? What will happen? And you won't believe it. After I left, the government, it was the Congress, this at that time. I remember the government in Delhi, the sports ministry. I had one Mr. Sen come down to Pune and he pleaded with me. He said, Mrs. Damania, please take over the women's hockey. I said, you ask my family. My husband, children, absolutely no. So I don't know how to spell hockey.
So from being a player to an administrator,
Right.
and of course you mentioned about Air India days where you were air hostess,
Yeah.
right? Air hostesses are subject to a lot of volatility in their jobs, right?
Wonderful.
Right. A lot of stress levels are always high because you always need to be on your toes at times. People call you, people kind of, misbehave, people have unreasonable
Nothing.
expectations, so on and so forth.
You know how to, if they behave badly, you know how to handle that. I had my own confidence. I knew how to handle them. So why should I be frustrated? I had 108 American seamen on my flight. Those days we had those Boeing aircrafts.
Right.
And you won't believe it, the other air hostess with me just left and she sat over there and she told me to this, you have to handle them well. I had them all crying in my hands later,
My God.
telling me about their family, how they had left them for so many years and so many. Yes.
So empathy comes very naturally to you, I would say. And that's the sign of emotional intelligence that we have been talking
Thank
about.
you.
So Emotionally Yours with Pratik deals with many such examples, living examples of emotional intelligence. Here's one, somebody who felt bad for the sport that she was representing because of heavily politicized atmosphere, real bad administration at times, discrimination that we spoke
lot
about.
of it, yes.
Had it been anybody else, it would have been an outrageous situation, right? But then you kept calm and you fought through the rightful ways. And that makes Arnavaz different than the most of the people that we talk about. Again, the experience as an Air India's air hostess, has been really great. Now, from sports administration, when your family said that no longer serving here or things like that, and yes, you've mentioned about your daughters. I guess one of them has been a sports enthusiast, and she also is a hockey player, right?
Represented hockey, yes. She
Right.
went to Beijing Asian Games, she went to Russia, she went, but there also politics hit it and she hated hockey. It's unfortunate. Politics is unfortunate. Because you see, everything is concentrating only in North Delhi, Haryana and all those places. They will not let these people come up. Tell me, how many are there? From, Pune, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Hyderabad, Bangalore.
Right.
Nobody. And I used to fight. That's the reason why they threw me out.
Yeah. So rebel with a cause is what we speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And all through, I see that there is a rebellion. When this rebellion does not get accepted, what's the natural reaction you come across?
It's just pity.
You don't feel angered?
I don't feel angry. It's just pity. Okay.
Your choice.
Yeah.
Wow. So that tells us the emotional maturity that Arnavaz comes with. Now let me talk about forming an NGO called Connecting, which is for suicide prevention. And that's something that's very close to us in terms of emotional well-being, mental health, so on and so forth. So Arnavaz, what made you choose that particular area of psychology, of if I have to put it, emotional well-being or suicide prevention?
Pratik, let's come back to giving up hockey, and then I had my own health club and beauty parlors, but that was not enough. So I was looking around to, one of my aunts was old and all alone, and I was looking at, building old homes like in Germany. So I had a lot of work done over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was one unfortunate day when we lost one of our most precious family members to suicide.
Sad.
Yeah, and unnatural death. And it was miserable. It was harrowing, because to see the family going through a lot. And then I just took it on me. I had to at that time I completely lost my confidence that I had through my life. Completely lost my this. And I tried doing things again and getting myself back, because at that time I was even scared of my thoughts. I was so scared of my thoughts. So I was going through a very bad
Phase.
And then I actually, because of hockey, I came to know how to use the computers. And, I sort of just, those days we had those big things, right?
Yeah, PCs.
PCs.
Which year was this, if I may ask?
In 2003.
2003, okay.
Yeah, and I went on and sort of wrote to whatever could get, anything on stress and suicide. And I just wrote to people. And I said, I'd like to even help one family not go through this. So, of course, I didn't get any reply from anybody. And then I wrote back to the same people, are you all deaf? I'm asking for help. Can you help me? So the American Federation of Suicide Prevention from New York, she wrote to me. She was a very sweet person. She wrote to me, Arnawaz, there is a lady called Dr. Aruna Jha from Chicago who has started her own Indo-American Suicide Prevention Initiative, and she comes to India because her parents are in Chandigarh. So, well, I followed her, and I just wrote to her. I said, please, Aruna, come. And she was very nice. She came. And of course, I had to buy her ticket. So, collecting funds and this and that. Got her to come down. By then, I had formed my association. Connecting Federation. And she came. And I had a few principals from schools and a few doctors and a few legal people because this is suicide. And being in hockey, I knew what are the, regulations one has to follow with charity commissioner, etc., etc. And that was very nice. And she very clearly told me, Arnavaz, I'm coming to your house if you are going to be very open and say that there was somebody in your family. She was very, very firm, and that's why we want people to come out. Now people are coming out with it. And then she sort of came, we had all principals from all schools and colleges, and also the teachers. And, she gave a lot of talks. She gave a lot of this. And I just asked one of them, from, what was that? They have that social science. From there, I asked that...
Tata Institute of Social Sciences?
Not Tata Institute. 𝙬𝙬.
Okay, yeah.
𝙬𝙬, right?
𝙬𝙬 Institute.
So she had come, the principal, and I just asked her, what did you think? So she says, Mrs. Damania, we have everything written down, but there's nothing practical, which she was taking practical helpline, what we do on our helplines. That is what she did, practice, play acting. How if there is a suicide which is happening or,
Kind of
was
a
very
role
happy.
play.
Yeah, role play, sorry.
Right,
yeah,
kind of a role play.
So, and then I sort of called her again, and by then we got a little place in Dashtu school to have our office, and that's how we started.
Such a great thing to do. Normally people's response to a trauma that you explain.
That's where it is. When you go through a trauma or not, whatever, illness also, you have to make the most of it, not go down with it. You have to make the most of it. So I'm very happy that looking at what connecting is doing, the people that are working there, giving their time, the volunteers, I think they are so superb. They're giving all their best in it. And, they are making the unfortunate death of a person so valuable that you see the others are getting the benefit of it. So nothing should bring you down. That's my emotion.
Optimism.
Absolute optimism.
Absolute optimism. Lovely. So, from trauma, that has to be turned into something which is positive, something that could probably help a person learn out of it and grow further and take it to the next level where it not only benefits the individual but the society at large.
Society at large.
Right. So that is the larger
Absolutely.
picture that you kind of took the trauma to the next
Right.
understanding. Of course, I have seen many people who kind of sink into that trauma and eventually they give up. They find it very difficult to come out. They get into depression. They get into various kind of emotional diseases.
What is depression? What is depression? Why?
Yeah.
We never had that. We never knew what depression was. Now, I'll tell you, I've gone through a heart valve replacement, aorta.
Okay.
Right? And other people would go, oh, no, that heart valve. The very next day, I was outside and I'm saying, I've got a new heart. I'm a new person.
Wow.
I've got a new shoulder. I've got a new back. I've got new eyes. I can see better. Yeah. Why should you cry over it?
That's the never die attitude. That's where we talk about, turning everything into
Your favor.
into your favor.
Yeah.
Into setting an example for others.
It's you.
And most importantly, it's all about self-awareness.
You are courageous. How do you have that courage?
The courage, the element of positivity and optimism. This too
Absolutely.
shall pass.
That's it.
And above that, I will rise more and I will come back. I remember a famous
Wonderful.
quote that really inspired me. In 2021, I had been to Everest Base Camp. So there's a famous quote by 𝙘𝙤𝙪𝙑, which says he tried climbing Mount Everest for 8 times and succeeded in the 9th one.
Sherpa.
So, right. So he came up, 𝙘𝙤𝙪𝙑 came up with this quote saying that as I will come back again because as a mountain you cannot grow, but as a person I can.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh, that's nice.
So I see the same elements being practiced by you whenever it was Hockey Federation, whenever it was overcoming the trauma and finding, connecting, etc. So Arnavaz, it was really wonderful knowing that the optimism, the positivity, etc., those really helped you. But were there some amount of self-doubt at times where will you be, in your mind you thought, will I be able to complete this? Will there be a possibility of resolving this problem? Or will this kind of things? And then there was a turmoil where it lasted for a little longer. And that's where you felt, is it worth taking all this effort? Is it going to succeed? Was there ever an element of self-doubt or a doubt in your mind?
I'm a human being. Come on, Pratik. I'm a human being. Every human being goes through that. Everybody.
Human being, let me modify, a superwoman being.
No. No, don't give me that. Then
Okay.
I have to stay up to those.
All right.
But yeah, I am a human being. So I have been through a lot, yes. But I've always had and as you know, I follow the Buddhism
Right.
philosophy, and I chant. And with that, it gives me, just in Buddhism, it gives you your own courage. I've always been very positive through my life, never negative. I've always, an impossible thing also I have done when I want to do it, but it's only in me if I want to do it. So you see, that sort of confirmed my this of following the Buddhism right. And whenever, you see, okay, let me give you an instant, like when I had the heart valve. It shocked me, Yeah, as it would shock people, even with cancer or something.
Right.
I mean, a heart valve. Can you imagine the thought and to think that they were going to tear me open and, all that. So, it was, yeah. I cried. I went down to my Gahanzon where I chant and I started crying. And I kept on chanting and I kept on chanting. And unfortunately, a friend of mine rang me up from Delhi and she got the worst of it. But as soon as I finished my half an hour, 45 minutes of my chanting, I was okay. I was okay. So, it gives you that
Courage.
Yeah, it gives that I can do it.
It gives you that
I don't have to
right.
worry. I went through a shoulder surgery, I went through a hip surgery, and I want it done immediately. Like my daughter says, Mom, wait at least. I had both my eyes done. I never waited. I want it done immediately. So there's a lot I've been through. But I have to go through, Let's go through it and finish it off.
Wow.
That's my attitude. And I know I will get out of it because I know what I am.
Self-awareness, self-confidence,
Yes.
An element even if you come across self-doubt,
Yes.
but the optimism and never say die attitude. So
Yeah. 30 years ago, I broke my neck of the femur, my leg, right? And those days, I had my health club, my gym, Gazelle.
Right.
And I used to take the aerobic classes and exercise and everything. The doctor had told me I wouldn't be able to even walk. He had said, you'll need a stick to walk because and it has given me still problems, still giving me problems. But at that time, I was even jumping on one foot. I said, how many times can I jump on the... Mrs. Damania, nobody asked me that question. Don't do it. Please don't do it. But I've done it because I knew what I was.
And that makes you climb all the 30 steps and come up with a conviction that, yes, I can. We spoke about Buddhism. We spoke about connecting with yourself. We spoke about getting to do a lot in terms of meditation, connecting with yourself. Buddhism is all about that. For that matter, most of the areas that we have spoken, self-belief, meditation, and your own connection with your own self.
Own self.
Right. So that takes us big time onto it.
Absolutely.
Now, let me come back to connecting again. I would want to understand a little bit about what is the mechanism where people simply call in the panic and they are about to commit suicide and then those suicides are prevented. How does that work?
But we don't know really, but most of them, we are very happy to say that, because then after that we get the calls again. So we know most of them are, but there have been one or two instances where it was, the last minute and there's nothing we can do. But, we have to inform the police and we have to do certain this. But that's the volunteers who do it. They're trained so beautifully. And my volunteers are not paid. They do it from their own hearts.
Wow.
And that is the main part of it, you see, because if a paid person comes in, they don't do it with their own hearts. You see, that is what connecting is. And all over, you see, there were many organizations who wanted to connect with us from US and France. And they wanted to, the doctors have those things. Okay, you've got an appointment. It goes on some net or something. I don't know any of these, media. This.
Right.
So they wanted to connect with two of them. And we sort of said it was not possible because you see
Right.
the system was not possible in India, so it was not brought to India. So and they said, okay, you connecting is the only organization that is so unique with the volunteers, and I've got that written down.
Wow.
Unique with volunteers, and that is where I don't know how to be so. I'm so grateful to them.
The
Yeah.
behavioral flow in every organization is from top down, and that clearly says why they are the way they do.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
right, I'm sure during the years of COVID, when the lockdown was rampant, etc., it must have been pretty difficult. A, for the organization. B, there would have been a lot of distress calls that you might have received in connecting, where people were homebound, they didn't find a life's purpose, or there was somebody that they lost a near one, and then there was no, I remember one old man that who had called, 92 years old, and he said that 3 of his family members younger than him are no more because of the COVID, and he doesn't want to live.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there would be many such instances during those days. So
But
tell us
tell me
something.
one thing, Pratik.
Yeah,
During COVID, everybody was in their own homes.
right.
So how could my volunteers come to the office? Right? And that is where my hats off to my volunteers and my staff, that we changed the whole system and got ex-hotel, and overnight all my volunteers agreed to take it from their homes, however small their house was. They were willing to, some of them were also in their toilets
Oh,
for 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours, I don't know how long they do. And they were there because children are there, servants are there, telephones are there, and they used to lock themselves up there and they've taken calls. My hat's off to them. I appreciate them. And I'm surprised there are some who are there for 15 years, 13 years.
life is what the choices you make.
That's true.
It's always said that life is what the choices you make, and we believe we make choices, but most of the times choices make us.
Make us. Yeah. And you have to accept that.
You have to accept that.
You have to accept it.
Acceptance is the first step. Moving up the ladder is something that you have to do, and optimism is the medium through which you can. This is the big learning that we derive from Arnavaz.
Thank you.
And the story that she has told so far. Arnavaz, now going further, what are your ideas about emotional well-being, mental health, the field that you have worked so far on? How do you see why? There's so much of distress in the society. There's so much of anger in the society. There's so much of hatred towards each other. How you think the picture is going to be further?
Including Gen Z.
Including Gen Z.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem one has to have.
Right.
It's, it's again empathy. It's again the emotions. It's again the love. Yeah, with which hopefully things will come around. And as I say, it's we are a dot. Connecting is just a small drop in the ocean, right? But it is becoming big. It's having its own problems. So that's what keeps me busy, trying to patch up things and do things properly.
Now that's where the humility speaks larger.
Thank you.
So this was Arnavaz Damania for all of us. Somebody who was passionate about sports, who transformed the sports administration, had been a judge, a referee, and above all, an excellent human being who's giving back to the society in terms of emotional well-being, mental health, It was lovely talking to you, Arnavaz. Thank you so much
My pleasure.
for bringing so many things out.
Thank you, Pratik. Thank you for calling me. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you all. Thank you very much. God bless.
Before we end this podcast, we have a small ritual. There are 2 mugs here, Arnavaz. One, I'm going to sign for you and give it to you. The second one, you have to do it for me. With
sweet.
putting today's date. So, okay, that's for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
A picture. So here's a small ritual, Arnavaz. Here's a mug that you will have to sign for us and give it to us. So here is the pen.
Oh, how sweet. You've got my face there.
Yes.
Okay.
And
this is where Arnawaz.
and here we pose this for a picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.